Does that mean you're ready?
Yeah, I've been ready.
Anytime.
Anytime.
Mike, it seems that Hillary Clinton has dug herself into a Wall Street hole. Is there any way she can dig out of this thing?
Yeah, go bankrupt.
I mean, really, what does she do?
Masses.
What does she do?
You know, Jim, she has been in this bubble for 30, 40 years, of one bubble or another. And I don't know that she can do anything to get out of it. I mean, the idea that you know that you might run for president, that you're thinking of running for president, and you're accepting these gargantuan speaking fees, not just from Goldman Sachs, but through other, corporate entities in this country and abroad, and you're making, over $100 million between you and your husband in speaking fees. Pump the brakes if you're running for president.
Speaking of her, she and her husband, what do you think of her husband sending your husband out to be the messenger on the fact that the Sanders campaign is running a sexist effort against his wife? Do you send the husband to be the messenger?
I would bet you some money that she did not send him. I would bet you that it was just his own internal level of frustration and anger with the messaging of his wife's campaign and the way the message is being received, especially in this state, which he regards as a home game for the Clintons. And I think it was probably just a level of frustration and anger. Boom.
Do you see any parallels between his comments about Barack Obama in 2008 and his comments about Bernie Sanders in 2016?
Only in the sense that I think both were fueled by anger at what was happening to his wife, her campaign, and her messaging, in contrast to a relative newcomer in their minds to the national stage.
Did you see Trump coming 6 months ago? If we had this conversation, and I said this guy that the Huffington Post won't even cover except in the entertainment pages is running for president, may run, may not run. What's he going to be doing in New Hampshire in 6 months? What would you have said?
6 months ago I would have said I doubt that he'll be in New Hampshire. 6 months ago I would have said, I think he'll probably drop out, he'll get tired of it.
But do you get the phenomenon now?
Yeah, I do.
What is it? This is what you've written about your whole life, basically.
I do. And as a matter of fact, you can see the same phenomenon. I was at a Sanders rally this morning, and you can see the same level of anxiety about the present, about the fear of the immediate future economically. You can see in both crowds, the Sanders crowd and the Trump crowd, a certain similarity in the way people are looking at issues and their frustration over what is not happening.
Even though Trump's saying now that he won Iowa, had it not been for the skullduggery of Ted Cruz, the reality is he came in second. His brand is he's a winner. If he loses New Hampshire, which looks unlikely, if he loses New Hampshire, does he go home and do his laundry, or does he stay in?
I think he stays in, but I think he stays in badly wounded, perhaps mortally wounded.
Speaking of wounded, the highlight of Saturday night's debate, I think everyone would agree, would be the fall from grace of Marco Rubio, who many thought was charging to the lead here, at least moving towards it, courtesy of the governor of New Jersey. You spoke to Chris Christie about that whole exchange, yes?
I saw him yesterday afternoon at a bar in Exeter, New Hampshire. He came in, I was right at the door, and he stopped, and I said to him, Governor, last night, for that 5 or 6 minute back and forth you were having with Marco Rubio, I said, did it all remind you of Roberto Duran sitting on his stool and going, no mas, in a welterweight fight against Sugar Ray Leonard nearly 30 years ago? And right away, he's a sports fan, right away he said, no, it didn't. He says, but I'll tell you what it did remind me of. He said something the great philosopher Mike Tyson once said, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. That's Marco. That's exactly what he said. And I think that's exactly what happened.
Nice to see you, Mike Barnicle. Thanks so much.
Always a pleasure, Mr. Browdy.
Was the camera on?
No, I forgot.
Oh, fine.
Stay there. Let me get a two-shot.
Good, Jim. Thanks so much.
Just let me get a two-shot.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
Keep talking to him.
He's got to be so blown away because he was going to be Trump. He was going to be Trump light. And, it's sort of like he's an also light. It's sort of...
Yeah, and he has no idea. They don't have any tracking points. They don't know what
impacted.
altered.
Yeah.